Imagine this. You've got a fancy statistical model, a mathematical formula designed by actual experts to predict final exam scores based on a student's past performance. You plug in a student's data, hit calculate, and the model confidently predicts they're going to score a massive 261 on their final exam. There's just one tiny, gigantic problem. The final exam is only out of 200 points.
So how exactly does a perfectly valid math formula spit out an entirely impossible result? Well, if you've ever looked at a data output and thought, wait, that literally makes no sense, trust me, you are not alone. This specific anomaly is a super common trap students fall into. By the end of this lecture, you're going to completely master this prediction formula. You'll understand exactly why this impossible score popped up, and more importantly, you'll learn the strict boundary rules you absolutely must apply so your data doesn't lie to you.
Section 1. The prediction problem. Okay, let's dive right into this by looking at the core mechanism of how statistical predictions actually work in the real world. We are going to look at the exact formula that caused our impossible test score. Think of this equation we have right here on the whiteboard as our prediction machine. In statistics, we call this a least squares regression line. We read it as y hat equals negative 173.51 plus 4.83 times x. Now, y hat is just a fancy way of saying our predicted final exam score. And x, that's our independent variable. For this specific data set, x represents a student's score on their third exam. But hey, pay super close attention to this next detail, because this is exactly where the trap gets set. The students in our original data set, they only scored between 65 and 75 on that third exam. So tuck that range, 65 to 75, in the back of your mind. Section 2. Predicting inside the lines. So now that we've got our formula, let's see how it behaves when we use it normally to predict a score that sits right within our data boundaries. Let's say we have a student who scored a 73 on their third exam, and we want to predict their final score. Step 1, we identify our x value. That's 73. Step 2, we simply substitute that 73 right into our equation where the x usually sits. And step 3, we do the math. We multiply 4.83 by 73, and then we add that negative 173.51.
And voila, there's our result, 179.08. But what does that number actually mean for us? It means that, on average, a statistics student who earns a 73 on that third exam is predicted to earn a 179.08 on the final exam. It makes total sense, right? It's a completely logical, expected score that falls beautifully within our 200-point maximum.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the formula is supposed to work. Just look at the reliable results we're getting here. If a student scores a 66 on the third exam, which, remember, is right inside our 65 to 75 range, the formula safely predicts a final score of 145.27. Score a 73? It safely predicts 179.08. Basically, as long as our inputs are securely within the boundaries of our original data, our predictions are rock solid.
Section 3. The extrapolation trap. But wait, this is important. We actually haven't solved our main mystery yet. How in the world did we get a score of 261 on a 200-point test? Well, it's time to trigger the trap.
Let me ask you this. What if a really high-performing student comes along and they totally crush it with a 90 on their third exam? We have our shiny prediction machine, so shouldn't we just use it? It's a math formula, right? Numbers are just numbers. Well, it's incredibly tempting and entirely possible to just blindly plug that 90 into the equation, exactly like we did with the 73. Let's try it. We substitute x for 90, we multiply 4.83 by 90, we subtract the 17.3.51, and boom, the math works out flawlessly, giving us a result of exactly 261.19. But recall our reality check from the very beginning. The absolute largest possible final exam score is only 200. The math is totally right, but the reality is totally wrong.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the root cause. Why is this prediction totally unreliable? It's because 90 falls completely outside the observed domain of our original data. Remember earlier when I told you to keep that 65 to 75 range in the back of your mind? Our prediction model was only built using data from students who scored in that specific window. Our model literally has no clue how a student who scores a 90 is going to behave on the final.
Section 4. Interpolation versus extrapolation. All right, now that you've visually seen the trap and felt exactly why it breaks our data, let's level up to the formal academic vocabulary. As a student of statistics, you need the right terms to describe what just happened. Think of your original data kind of like a drawn map of a city. As long as you stay on the map, you know exactly where the roads lead. But stepping off the edge of that map into the blank, unmapped paper, yeah, that's dangerous. Your predictions out there become wild and completely untrustworthy. In statistics, staying on the map is called interpolation. Stepping off the map, that's extrapolation. Let's lock this definition in. Interpolation is your safe zone. It's the process of predicting inside the boundaries of the observed X values from your original data. When we predicted the final score for the student who got a 73, we were doing interpolation. It's safe and it's super reliable.
So the crucial point here is that extrapolation is the exact statistical trap that caused our impossible 261 score. Extrapolation is the process of predicting outside of the observed X values. Because our data strictly stopped at 75, calculating a prediction for an X value of 90 was pure extrapolation. The formula will absolutely give you an answer, sure, but as we just saw, it might be total nonsense.
Section 5. Practice. Your turn. Okay, you know the formula, you know the trap, and you've got the terminology down. Now, I'm going to test you. Let's see if you can apply this to a brand new scenario.
Here's our new setup. We've got data looking at the relationship between how many hours a week a student practices a musical instrument and their scores on a math test. Our new regression line is y hat equals 72.5 plus 2.8 times x. In this case, x is the number of hours practicing music per week, and y hat is the predicted math score.
I want you to calculate this in your head, right now. Assuming 5 hours is well within our observed data boundaries, meaning, yes, this is a safe interpolation, what would you predict the math score to be for a student who practices for 5 hours a week? Go ahead and substitute that 5 for the x.
Let's move to the next slide and see how this builds. First, you identify your x, which is 5. Next, you multiply 2.8 by 5. And finally, you add that result to 72.5. Honestly, if you're doing the math along with me right now in your head, you are actively performing statistical prediction. How cool is that?
Before we wrap up, let's summarize the absolute key rules you need to walk away with today. 1. Regression equations are super powerful tools to predict future outcomes. 2. Interpolation, which is predicting inside your observed data boundaries, is safe. 3. Extrapolation, predicting outside those boundaries, is highly dangerous and can lead to impossible, wacky results. And finally, the golden rule. Always, always check the domain limits of your X variables before you run a prediction.
Which brings us right back to our practice problem. Did you actually finish that calculation? 2.8 times 5 plus 72.5. You know what? I'm going to leave the final answer hanging. Drop your calculated math score down in the comments below. Did you hit the nail on the head? We'll see. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and be sure to queue up our next lecture to uncover even more about the fascinating